The authorities were keen to show us that care has improved dramatically. As a condition for EU membership, Romania promised to clean up its notorious institutions for those who could not be found adoptive families. The disabilities they were either born with or developed as a result of neglect in the orphanage meant they were always unlikely to be adopted. Repetitive behaviour is a common symptom of institutionalisation. Angela and her friends filmed here 20 years ago. And Angela has been here for a long time.
And now...
This is Angela opening the doors of the orphanage to foreign journalists. Magdalena was among the emaciated children. Now in their 20s, we're told by carers that neither can talk. They've never been taught to. 137 children did manage to escape the horrific conditions of the institution. They all died in the space of just 2 years, between 1987 and 1989. Most didn't survive past 3 years of age. When Dr. Pavel Watcher took over the running of Chikid, he turned to foreign aid to save lives. Now retired, he defied orders by the authorities not to speak to us. He has long criticised the government for not doing more to help the children who remained at Chikid.
Cu siguranță viața de familie lipsește oricărui copil din instituție.
Family life is missing for any child in an institution, and parental deprivation is one of the causes that accentuates their disabilities. Surely if they had lived with a family, their disability would be less, because the potential is there.
20 years since the fall of communism, do you think the Romania today have learnt lessons from institutionalisation communism?
Cu siguranță toată lumea a învățat. Din păcate...
Sure, everyone learned. Unfortunately, if you had asked me 20 years ago how I saw the future, I would have expected it to be much better than it is now. Our hopes were not realized. Since 1990, the European Union has injected 100 million euros of aid into Romania's institutions. Despite only ever knowing life behind these walls, the residents of Chikid appeared well cared for. We were allowed to film here because this is what the government wants you to see. To show the reality for thousands of others, we would have to use hidden cameras. Our investigation began near Bucharest, the capital of a new member of the EU and recently the host of a NATO summit. This thriving city is a measure of how far Romania has come in the last 2 decades. This is Ceausescu's palace, once a great symbol of the communist regime. Now it's home to Romania's parliament. But just 15 miles from here, we discovered that Ceausescu's shocking legacy continues. Journalists are not allowed inside the institutions we were about to visit. The only way in was to pose as charity workers delivering aid.
Hello. A human rights group had alerted us to this adult placement centre in the village of Copii. So we've come here to secretly film in this institution about 20 miles away from the centre of Bucharest, where young men and women are sharing the same rooms in inhumane conditions. We found overcrowded rooms filled with a musty odour of sweat and urine. Many are lying in their own faeces. This is the fate for those transferred from children's institutions to adult facilities. The staff tell us they don't know the names or ages of the latest arrivals. They've given this girl the name Anita. A homemade helmet protects her from self-harm. She repeatedly bangs her head against the wall. Another new arrival looks desperate. He can't talk. The carer explains they suspect he has hepatitis, but we have no methods here to check, she says. Some had disabilities. All were suffering from the psychological effects of institutionalisation. The government claims there are up to 20,000 adults in state care, but lacking sufficient data, they have admitted there could be many more. He got to the one station, it's not over 60 radio stations. Human rights groups and aid workers have alerted us to another adult institution in a village near Bucharest called Boletin. We understand that a number of 18-year-olds were moved there over the last few years from children's orphanages. It's home to 75 adults with and without disabilities. They rely on charity handouts to keep warm. Inside, there is no escape from the cold. We were told the heating was not on to save money. But the thick jackets haven't reached everyone. From the main building, we found 15 severely disabled youngsters dressed in tatty, thin clothes. Their bare feet produced an odour of rotting flesh. A closer look revealed gangrene or trench foot. So we've just come in where we found some young adults, very young boys, lacking the very basic needs: shoes, socks, clothes, and their only stimulation is a television set hung on the wall. They have complained of a lack of training and money for the most basic of needs: food, clothes and bedding. It was clear that the disabled in their care suffered the most. Much of what we witnessed in this adult institution, hidden behind the trees over there, we can't show you, or we couldn't even film. Blood had been injected into their tiny bodies as a nutritional supplement. In a country that refused to acknowledge the dangers of AIDS, dirty needles created 10,000 victims. 7,000 survived, most never knowing what it is to have a family, and kept in so-called HIV units. Florentina escaped from her HIV unit in search for the parents she longed for. She found them here, living in immense poverty. She regularly visits her mother to try and make sense of her difficult past. Daniela abandoned all 15 of her children into state care. So how did you feel the first time you met your mother?
I was angry because I don't know why I have HIV and why she left me. And I wanted to tell me, she's speaking with me, why I have HIV, why she left me. What reason she have. And I feeling hate in that moment.
Unbeknown to her, she condemned Florentina to a deadly disease.
She said she's sorry for that. She wish I will be like everyone, no sick. God take care of us.
While she was condemned to an institution, her siblings began a new life with families.
We have the address.
This is the address of your dad?
Yeah, look.
Her sister Maria was adopted by a German family. A fate denied to thousands of HIV victims that emerged from Ceausescu's orphanages.
Hi, Flo. Pop the ball now. Do you have HIV? No?
This is as close to a family Florentina has ever known, sharing the Love Light Romania shelter with 10 other HIV victims.
They've been abandoned, they've been orphaned, they're infected with HIV. They can't fit into a normal, whatever normal life is. And the kids say this is why they like it here, because we're HIV friendly. They can be open about the disease.
But the stigma of the disease must be beaten if Romania's HIV victims are to have any chance.
V-am spus că ceea ce veți vedea este tulburător și aceste lucruri, probabil că dumneavoastră vă întrebați, lucrurile alea pe care le-am văzut acolo se întâmplă acum? Și răspunsul este categoric da. Lucrurile pe care le-ați văzut în acel film se întâmplă acum, în timp ce noi vorbim. Pentru a avea cât se poate de clar această imagine, am să-i rog pe colegii mei dacă au și povestea lui Alex, pentru că este unul dintre acei 7.000 de copii care au supraviețuit cu HIV, iar povestea lui este foarte interesantă și cu aceasta vom încheia acest reportaj și vom trece la celelalte chestiuni.